Okay, after a couple of weeks where he had more than, a handful of matches, Raw went back to its good old-fashioned 5-match capacity, with most of them really not being all that great. So Raw, of course, began with Triple H, Laurinaitis, and Paul Heyman, and I guess Brock Lesnar's now suing the E for some reason, whatever. It's just a way to keep Brock's name on everyone's lips until his inevitable return for the match against Triple H, probably at SummerSlam. Not an awful lot going on. It is good to see Heyman in the ring again. He is a great mouthpiece for Brock. Brock, great athlete. He sucks on the mic. He just does. He just cannot seem to get across that super dominant persona that he has. So it's good to have Heyman essentially be his mouthpiece. The tag match where it was Santino and Punk versus Cody and Bryan Daniels. Really solid match. Ironically, seeing Santino do his kind of comedic gimmick, when he goes for that hot tag and he dives and he misses, it was great. Even Punk was like, I'm tagging with this guy. Good solid match. Everyone got in the right amount of spots and it worked well. The Alicia Fox Beth Phoenix match, I think Beth Phoenix versus Layla has some potential to it. It is currently like the only thing going on with the Divas. Ironically, we're almost like halfway through our matches. Then a 6-man match where Brodus Clay, R-Truth, and Kofi took on Miz and Swagler. Overall, pretty decent 6-man tag. Didn't see an awful lot of tagging, didn't see an awful lot of moves, but it helped advance the storyline between Miz and Brodus Clay, as well as R-Truth and Kofi and Swagler, which is their match at Over the Limit. Pretty solid. Big Show took on Kane with John Laurinaitis at the ring, more or less barking to Big Show that he wants an apology every now and then. Kane is victorious with probably one of the weakest choke slams. Show kind of turns around and it was like, ha! Show falls down. 3 count. And then came probably one of the best moments I've seen from Laurinaitis in a long time. He asked for the apology from Show. Show was like, I'm sorry. No, it's not good enough. Show has this absolutely beautifully impassioned speech about, coming to the industry 18 years ago, loving this, loving the fans, loving what he does. And it was that moment that you wish Laurinaitis and Cena would have had, around this point in time. Show's emotional, he's kind of crying. Find this clip. It is entirely well worth it. And he's like, don't you get on your knees and beg me for your job. He's like, I cannot do that. Nice, good emotion to it. If Show, when he does retire, he has probably one of the best chances of having a really good acting career. He's got good comedic chops and some really great drama from him. And of course, he still gets fired at the very end. Even though he gets on his knees and he begs. Done really well. Orton takes on Jericho. Again, this should be a great match. But to further plug their Fatal 4-Way match, Jericho pushes Orton into Sheamus. Sheamus attacks Jericho. And then it seems like Orton and Sheamus are going to get into it. Good, those two should. You have the Viper and the Great White. You have the Apex Predator and one of the most dangerous animals, period. One of the best hunters in the world from the animal kingdom. It actually would have been a pretty decent fight. Doesn't really happen because, a dozen referees show up. So they're that angry, but a dozen refs can keep them apart. And then lo and behold, we're already at the main event. The only real backstage thing that was of note was AJ wanted to talk to CM Punk, and Punk was kind of like, look, I think you're crazy, and I don't want to get in between what's ever going on with you and Daniel Bryan, I really don't. So I'm walking on the camera frame, and it was great. You know, it's just Punk going, yeah, I don't know what this is. I think you're a Looney Tune. I'ma go. It was good. It was short to the point. I still don't know why CM Punk was walking with Alex Riley, unless Alex Riley was in on CM Punk with the Chris Jericho sobriety test from a couple of weeks ago. Since the main event, Johnny C talking with Johnny L. Cena kind of just goes all Ace Ventura on him. She's loser, cutting him off. Pretty decent job there. And apparently the word douchebag can get bleeped on the E. You know, actually not a bad promo for the most part. You know, John seemed to be happy even though he's currently going through a divorce. Eve shows up and of course goes to hand with Laurinaitis' piece of paper. He's trying to read it. Cena tears it in half so he can read it. Their match is now a one-on-one match. If you get involved, you're fired. If John Cena wins, Laurinaitis is fired. Interesting part is, if Laurinaitis wins, I see Cena being written out for a while, and therefore, you know, Laurinaitis will then either feud with Punk, or since he's already fired Show, he'll probably fire Cena. He won't really have a lot to do. If John Cena wins, Laurinaitis goes away, and then you have this great power vacuum on both shows. Here's what I would do. I would have Laurinaitis lose, have that power vacuum on both shows, drop the Raw Super Show, not have people from both shows switching back and forth. No. Do an actual draft, take people, you know, do your quick shuffle of talent, and be done with it. You know, Randy Orton's a SmackDown talent, so is Sheamus. They should not be feuding on a different show with Jericho, who was just recently feuding for the Raw title. No. No, you've got 2 titles specific to each show. You make the Divas belt and the Tag belt. The 2 belts that cross shows. Give them some edge, give them some prestige. All in all, we're already heading to another pay-per-view. I think we just finished one. Going into another one.